All right. So you're prepping for a kettle tender interview.
Kettle tender.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, I got to say, sounds pretty interesting.
It's interesting work, for sure.
Yeah. Ever think about how chewing gum gets its start? Like all those ingredients?
Right.
Well, you're about to get a crash course.
You are.
Because we're diving into the world of kettle tenders.
It's all about precision.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as a kettle tender, you're the one who makes sure that the gum base is perfectly blended with all the other ingredients to create that just right chewiness.
Yeah.
It's a vital role in the whole candy making process.
Huh. So it's more than just like sticking stuff in a machine.
It is a very hands-on job, and this interview is your chance to show that you can handle those machines and the responsibility.
So you're saying something about precision.
Precision.
What does that actually look like? Like, what do you have to be precise about?
Everything, really.
Oh, wow.
The timing, the measurements, the temperature, it all has to be perfect.
Interesting. I was actually checking out RoleCatcher.
Good resource.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's amazing how much info they have on different careers.
A lot of information there.
Like, seems like kettle tenders are in demand.
They are.
Yeah, but this career guide mentions
Right.
it's not all sunshine and lollipops.
Right.
There's some heavy lifting involved.
Some physical demands for sure.
Yeah,
you're going to be on your feet moving around lifting heavy bags of ingredients.
That sounds like things could get a bit
warm.
aromatic.
Aromatic. Yeah, definitely not a desk job. It's a
Yeah.
very sensory experience.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So knowing that going in, like that's good for interview prep, I would think, right?
That's something to be mindful of as you prepare. Knowing the work environment is key.
Okay.
If you're someone who thrives in a fast-paced, hands-on setting, you'll want to highlight that.
Yeah.
But if shift work or a noisy environment isn't your thing, be prepared to address that during the interview, too.
Cool.
Ask informed questions about scheduling.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And what the day-to-day really looks like.
So it's not just about you knowing whether you can handle it.
Right.
It's about you knowing if you want it.
Exactly. You want to make sure it's the right fit.
Okay, so you're prepped for the environment.
Okay.
But what about the actual interview questions?
Right.
Let's tackle those head on.
Let's do it.
Expert, what's the first one we got?
Let's start with this.
Okay.
Tell me about a time you had to follow strict procedures.
Okay.
What was the situation and what was the outcome?
Classic interview question, but always a bit nerve-wracking.
Sure.
It seems straightforward.
Yeah.
But what's the interviewer really trying to gauge here? Like, what are they really asking?
They're looking for evidence of your meticulousness.
Meticulousness.
As a kettle tender, precision is key.
Okay.
Think of a time when you had to follow a set process carefully. Maybe a recipe you followed to a T?
Yeah.
Or even assembling something complex where you couldn't miss a step. Focus on the details that show your attention to detail and ability to stick to the plan.
So it's not just about telling a story.
Right.
It's about showing them you understand what this role really demands.
Exactly. Showing you have what it takes.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI feedback could be super helpful.
Oh, absolutely. It can be a game changer.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. You can plug in your answer and RoleCatcher will analyze it,
Okay.
giving you feedback on how well you're conveying those key skills.
So it's like having
like a career coach in your pocket.
I was going to say like an interview expert right there.
Exactly.
Without having to pay for one.
Yeah. It can be really helpful.
Okay, so you nailed that first question. What comes next?
Okay. Often they'll follow up with a scenario.
Okay.
Like this. What would you do if you noticed a discrepancy in the weight of the ingredients while preparing a batch?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Sounds like things could get sticky.
It could get messy.
This one feels like it's testing your problem-solving skills under pressure.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating quick thinking and commitment to quality control.
So, like, what would a good answer sound like for that?
A strong answer might involve halting the process immediately.
Oh, wow. Okay, stop everything.
Safety first, always investigating the discrepancy. Maybe double-checking the measurements, the scale calibration, and then consulting a supervisor.
Oh, okay.
Or referencing the established procedures for that situation.
So don't just, like, wing it.
No, winging it in this field.
Okay.
You gotta follow the rules.
Show them you're not going to cut corners.
Exactly.
It's also a chance to demonstrate you take safety seriously, right?
Absolutely.
Like, you're not going to just toss in extra ingredients to make up the difference.
Right. Safety is paramount in food production.
Yeah.
Mentioning relevant certifications like GMP Good Manufacturing Practices or HACCP Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points
Oh, my gosh.
can really show you understand the importance of those standards.
So those are good things to, like, have on your resume even.
Absolutely highlight those.
Yeah, if you've got them.
Right. Those certifications are all about ensuring food safety.
They are all about safety and quality.
Nowadays, so we're not just talking about like
Right.
making sure the gum tastes good.
It's got to be safe to chew.
We're talking about like people's well-being.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay, let's
move on.
move on to another question. What else might they throw our listeners' way?
Describe a time you had to work under pressure.
Okay.
How did you handle the situation?
The dreaded pressure question.
Everyone's favorite.
Everyone wants to know you can handle a little heat in the kitchen, literally in this case.
Exactly.
So that's a good one.
Yeah. So what are they looking for there?
They want to see how you handle stress.
Okay.
Can you stay calm under pressure? Can you still think clearly and make good decisions when things get hectic?
So it's not just about saying, oh, yeah, I work well under pressure.
No, they want specifics.
Oh.
They want to hear about a real situation and how you handled it successfully.
So should you, have a story in your back pocket ready to go?
It's always a good idea to have a few stories prepared
that
showcase your skills and experience.
That makes sense.
Think about a time you faced a tight deadline and unexpected challenges.
Okay.
Maybe a sudden surge in demand.
Right.
The key is to showcase how you stayed focused, prioritized tasks, and problem-solved effectively.
And again, this is going back to that meticulousness thing.
Exactly. Meticulousness, organization, and the ability to stay calm under pressure are all essential qualities for a kettle tender.
Because if one thing goes wrong,
it can throw off the whole batch.
Wow. So it's a lot of responsibility.
It is, but it's also rewarding work.
Okay.
You're creating something that people enjoy.
And you're a vital part of that.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
And this is another opportunity to use that STAR method we talked about earlier, right?
Exactly. Situation, task, action, result.
Right.
It helps you structure your answer in a clear, concise way that highlights your skills.
It's like a recipe for a perfect interview answer.
There you go.
So we've talked about following procedures, handling discrepancies, working under pressure.
Right.
What other essential skills might they be looking for in a kettle tender?
Teamwork is crucial in a manufacturing setting.
Oh, okay.
So don't be surprised if they ask something like, tell me about a time you had a conflict with a coworker.
Oh, boy.
How did you resolve it?
The workplace conflict question.
Everybody's got a story.
Everyone wants to know you can navigate those tricky interpersonal situations.
Right.
So how do you answer that without throwing your former coworkers under the bus?
That's the key, right? You don't want to badmouth anyone.
Right.
Honesty and a solutions-oriented approach are key here.
Okay.
Think of a specific conflict, but avoid bad-mouthing your former coworker.
Right.
Focus on the steps you took to communicate, effectively understand their perspective, and find common ground.
Okay.
It's about showing you can maintain professionalism.
Right.
And a positive work environment, even when things get a little heated.
So it's more about showing you can handle conflict than it is about the actual conflict itself.
Right. It's about demonstrating your conflict resolution skills.
Got it. So we've covered some of the common behavioral interview questions.
We've covered some good ones.
But what about questions specific to the kettle tender role?
Right. You'll definitely want to be prepared to answer, how do you ensure that you maintain a safe working environment?
Okay.
This one is non-negotiable in a role like this.
Safety first?
Safety first, always.
What are some key points to hit when answering this one?
Demonstrate your understanding of safety protocols and procedures.
Okay, so be specific.
Be specific. Mention any relevant training you have, like operating machinery or handling potentially hazardous materials.
Okay.
You can even refer back to GMP and HACCP, emphasizing how those principles guide your approach to safety.
So you're saying name drop those certifications.
Exactly. If you've got them, flaunt them.
I like it. Okay.
But make sure you actually understand them.
Right. It's not just about saying the words. It's about actually
knowing what they mean.
Knowing what they mean and embodying those principles.
Exactly.
So it's not just about saying I'm a safe person. It's about showing them you understand the specific safety considerations of this role.
Right.
And that you're proactive about maintaining a secure environment for yourself and your team.
Precisely.
Okay. I like it. All right. So we've talked about safety. What else?
Let's talk about adaptability.
Okay.
And willingness to learn.
Okay.
Because the food industry is constantly evolving.
Right. New technologies, new ingredients.
So a question like, describe a time you had to learn how to operate new equipment or machinery.
Okay.
How did you approach the learning process? Is very common.
Oh, yeah. I've gotten that question before, and it always throws me off guard.
It can be a tough one.
Because it's I don't know.
How do you even prepare for that?
Yeah. And also, I feel like every time I've learned new equipment, it's been kind of a scramble.
Right.
Figure it out as you go.
On the job training.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that doesn't sound very impressive in an interview.
Well, the key here is to highlight your ability to learn new things quickly and efficiently.
Okay.
Did you read the manual carefully?
Okay.
Did you shadow an experienced colleague?
Well, that's a good one.
Did you take the initiative to practice during your own time?
So it's more about like how you approach learning.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating that you're a quick learner and that you're eager to expand your skill set.
Because nobody wants to hire somebody who's going to be like, I don't know how to do that.
Right, or that's not my job.
Right.
You want to show that you're willing to go the extra mile.
And this is another area where RoleCatcher can provide some really valuable feedback, right?
Absolutely. You can input your answer.
Right.
And their AI will analyze it, maybe suggesting ways to highlight transferable skills from your previous roles.
Okay.
For example, if you've worked with any kind of automated systems before,
Right.
even if it wasn't in food production,
Right.
make sure you emphasize those experiences.
So it's about connecting the dots for them.
Exactly. RoleCatcher can help you connect the dots for the interviewer.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of connecting the dots, let's talk a bit about career progression.
Okay.
This Kettle Tender, career stages section in the career guide is fascinating.
Yeah, it's interesting to see where that role can lead.
Like, you don't just stay a kettle tender forever, do you?
Not necessarily with experience and the right attitude, you can move up the ranks.
Like, what are some of those potential career paths?
Well, you might become a senior kettle tender,
Okay.
responsible for training and overseeing others.
So more responsibility.
More responsibility, exactly.
Okay.
You might even move into a supervisory role, managing a whole team of kettle tenders.
So you could go from mixing gum to managing the whole shebang.
That's right.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. There's definitely room for growth in this field.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, back to the interview prep. What other questions should our listener be ready for?
Let's tackle another scenario-based one. How would you handle a situation where you noticed a batch of gum base wasn't mixing properly?
Okay, so this goes back to problem solving and quality control.
All right.
But with a focus on your knowledge of the process.
Exactly. It's not just about fixing the problem. It's about understanding why the problem occurred in the first place.
So, like, what would be a good way to approach this question?
Start by outlining the steps you'd take to assess the situation.
Okay.
Checking the machine settings, ingredient measurements, maybe consulting the process manual.
So being really systematic.
Exactly. Demonstrate your knowledge of the gum-making process itself.
And I was just thinking, if you've done your research on the company beforehand,
Oh, that's a great point.
you can really tailor your answers to impress them.
You're exactly right.
Like if their website mentions they use a particular type of mixer,
Right?
you could say something like, I'd first check the RPMs on the specific mixer name to ensure they're set to the correct specifications for this batch.
Now that shows you've done your homework. It shows you're not just looking for any job.
Right.
You're specifically interested in their process
Yes.
and their company.
It shows you want to work there.
Exactly.
Okay, what's next on our interview question hit list?
Let's tackle a question that often trips people up. Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult customer or client.
Okay.
How did you handle the situation? Now, you might be thinking, wait, I'm applying to be a kettle tender, not a customer service rep.
Right.
But the ability to handle difficult interactions professionally is valuable in any role.
Right, because even though you're not dealing with customers directly,
Right.
you're still part of a team.
Exactly. You're going to have to interact with coworkers, supervisors, maybe even suppliers.
So it's about showing you can stay calm,
Right.
think clearly, and find solutions, even when you're dealing with a metaphorical sticky situation.
I like that metaphorical sticky situation.
Right.
It's a good one.
Okay, so what kind of story should you tell for this one?
Choose a situation where you successfully navigated a challenging interpersonal dynamic. Even if it wasn't with a customer in the traditional sense.
Right.
Maybe you had a disagreement with a coworker, or you had to deliver some difficult feedback to a teammate.
Right.
The important thing is to focus on the positive.
Okay.
Highlight your communication skills, your ability to empathize, and your knack for finding common ground.
Because again, it's not about like throwing anyone under the bus.
Exactly.
It's about showing you can handle those tough conversations.
Right. It's about demonstrating your interpersonal skills.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Now, I know we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
but there's one more essential question I want to make sure we address.
It's the classic closer, right? Why do you want to work here?
Oh yeah, that one always gets me at the end.
It might sound simple, but it's your chance to really show that you've done your research and you're genuinely interested in this company.
Okay, so it's not enough to just say like, oh, I love gum.
Probably not going to cut it.
Okay.
You want to show them you're not just looking for any job, You're looking for this job at their company.
So how do you do that?
Before the interview, dig into the company's background. What are their values? What's their mission? What kind of products do they make? What makes them unique? RoleCatcher can be a goldmine for this kind of information.
Right, because they have that whole database of employer profiles.
Exactly.
So you could find out, for instance, if this particular company emphasizes organic ingredients or fair trade practices,
Right.
and then you could speak to that in your answer.
Exactly. Maybe they've won awards for their workplace culture, or they're known for their innovative flavors. Connect those details to your own interests and goals.
Oh, that's such a good point. So it's
Yeah.
not just about like regurgitating facts about the company. It's about connecting those facts to what you're looking for in a job.
Exactly. It's about showing them you see yourself as part of their story, not just filling a slot on the production line.
I like that. Okay, so we've covered a ton of potential questions here.
We have. We've really gone deep on this one.
We have. Any final words of wisdom for our listener as they head into that kettle tender interview?
Go in with confidence, knowing you've prepared thoroughly and that you have the skills and drive to excel in this role. Remember, your enthusiasm and passion for the work will shine through.
Oh, I love that. It's not just about reciting memorized answers. It's
Yeah.
about letting your genuine interest and excitement for the role come through.
Exactly.
Because I feel like interviewers can always spot a fake.
Oh, absolutely. They can sense it a mile away.
So just be yourself, be prepared, and let your passion shine through.
I love it. Couldn't have said it better myself.
And listener, wherever you are in your own career journey, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep reaching for those goals.
Well said. And maybe we'll see you back here on the deep dive someday, sharing your own success story.
That's a deep dive for another day. Until then, happy
Okay.
mixing.